If your relationship feels confusing, intense, or emotionally chaotic, and you can't explain why you feel what you feel, or if you are going through a phase where your whole inner world feels unstable, this is not random. And what I am about to share could change how you see it. A few weeks after I made a decision to become a spiritual guide and coach, something happened. I met a person, and it felt very intense. I have always been an empath. I have always felt other people's emotions. I always knew when a man was attracted to me. And there was also something else I had known my entire life. I was terrified of men who fell in love with me. At that point, I have already spent a year on my spiritual journey. I understood energy, trauma, and consciousness, but nothing prepared me for what happened next. Slowly, I started feeling overwhelming guilt because I couldn't return his feelings. I was already in a relationship that made me happy. I wasn't planning to leave. I don't know exactly when my dark night of the soul began, but I know it was when it entered its darkest phase. When we ask the universe for something, it doesn't simply hand it to us. It sends the people and the experiences that will transform us into the version of ourselves capable of receiving it. That's exactly what happened to me. My nightmare had begun. What I felt was impossible to explain. I felt like I had known him forever, but I didn't know him. I was shaking whenever he was near. I felt unbearable guilt, and at the same time, I was feeling that somehow I had to give him what he wanted from me. The thought of disappointing him sent my nervous system into panic. My anxiety intensified. I would wake up anxious. Well, I tried talking to him. My intuition told me that it could help, but he said he had no feelings. So, his words said one thing, but his actions said another. The mixed signals made me feel like I was losing my mind. I couldn't explain it to anyone because I didn't understand it myself. And when I finally shared it with someone, they didn't believe me. So kinda like I was imagining all of this. But something inside me knew otherwise. Right before meeting him, I have been studying narcissism and psychological manipulation. My body reacted exactly the way it reacts to an abuser. And when I analyzed my past, I realized that most of the time I have been attracting manipulators or abusers. That's why I was afraid of men. But it's another story for another video. So I consciously knew I had to stay away. But something deep inside me kept pulling me toward him. And at the same time, I was afraid of him. Resisting that pull felt... It sounds just like anxious, avoidant attachment style. Except only once in my life I didn't have it starting a relationship. But it's another story, maybe for another video. Well, maybe many people would call it a soulmate connection or twin flames. I don't. Today I see it differently. The special connection with a manipulator usually exists only inside of the empath, because since childhood we have learned to constantly read another person's emotional state in order to stay safe. What feels like a spiritual connection is often your nervous system recognizing danger. It is not saying this is your person, it's saying be careful. There was another layer too, an ancestral pattern. I grew up knowing what male abuse looked like. As a child, I promised myself that it will never happen to me. But unconscious family patterns don't disappear just because we reject them. They wait and they look for the perfect person through whom they can repeat themselves. And he could become this person. Even if consciously I wanted to have different experience. There was another layer as well, past lives. During my spiritual work, I discovered multiple incarnations where we deeply wanted to be together, but circumstances always kept us apart. Those unfinished emotional bonds created an illusion that we belonged together now. Little by little, I cleared the emotional charge from every level. The nervous system, the ancestral field, past life memories, energetic cords. The more I healed, the weaker the attraction became. I studied with different teachers. I asked many spiritual healers for help. It felt like nobody truly understood what I was experiencing. So I started creating my own energy clearing methods, my own spiritual tools, my own way of working with subconscious programs. Those tools changed my life. And that's when I realized something. This experience was preparing me. Everything I went through became the foundation of my work today. The universe answered my prayer, just not in the way I expected. So, if you asked the universe for something, for your purpose, for your mission, for spiritual gifts, or to manifest something, and suddenly your life became harder, this is not punishment. This is the beginning of your transformation. Don't resist it. Go through it. Because sometimes the darkest chapter is exactly what opens the door to the life your soul has been asking for.